The Game is brought to you by United.
It's easy for people to see differences in one another, the shape of our eyes, the color of our skin. Sometimes it's difficult to look beyond that. But thanks to folks like Perry Reese Jr., barriers and stereotypes are broken. Bob Holtzman brings us a truly touching story this week as we once again go beyond the game.
In a small town about an hour south of Cleveland, it's opening night. The Hiland High School Hawks are favored to win their 10th conference title in 12 years.
Let's go, 1, 2, 3, Hawks!
But this story isn't really about basketball.
In a day and age when there are no heroes, Perry Reese Jr. was a hero.
This story is about a man named Perry Reese.
He was just a unique personality. There's nothing that I can explain to anybody to make you understand how it was. If you didn't know him, I don't know. I've never met anybody else like him.
The story begins 16 years ago, right in the middle of the largest Amish settlement in the world. Hiland High School was looking for a basketball coach, and the school where Reese had been coaching was closing, so he applied. He had 4 years of experience and a lifetime record of 17 and 66, but it wasn't his resume some were concerned about.
For our administration at that time to say, sure, we'll take this man, had to be a little bit of a risk.
It was just basically ignorance, because there's no blacks in our area.
Before Reese, Hiland High School had never had an African-American coach, and Berlin, Ohio, had never had an African-American resident.
None of us have ever been in a community, a room, or anything where, we're the only white person. So what it must have been like for him, I think is hard for us to grasp because it's not anything we have to deal with. There were times when he would say, I don't want to come to that because I stick out. That's just what happens in tiny towns. Anything that is unusual is going to stick out, and he did, and he knew it.
He knew that there's always some in a community, and this community is no different than others that had a problem because of his skin color.
I'm sure he got some insults thrown at him his first couple of years here, but I think his personality and his love of teaching and coaching and just his whole personality was able to win over those insults.
In fact, Reese did a lot of winning during his 16 years here. 11 conference titles, 5 trips to the state Final Four, and in 1992, a state championship.
God bless Perry Reese Jr.
Last month, after battling a brain tumor, Perry Reese died. He was 48 years old. You can be sure Berlin will never be the same. Not because Reese is gone, but because for 16 years, he was here. Every
year, we kind of worried or would go through it again, and he's going to go someplace else. Somebody else is going to get him. And I remember thinking, when this all happened, is how I wish that would be the case, that he would be going someplace else to coach.
Coach was always that type of guy that you could call and talk to, and if you asked my parents, they would probably say I was more concerned about disappointing him in the choices I made in life than disappointing my own parents.
Through his life, though, he has shown people that he's no different than anybody else, and in many respects has characteristics better than many of us.
He brought basketball to the small community and taught us about basketball, but also taught us about life.
It's amazing the impact one life can have on so many and how rewarding it can be when you're willing to take a chance like Hiland school officials thought they were doing with Mr. Reese. But the grateful people of that community don't believe it was chance at all that brought Perry Reese Jr. into their lives. Still to come here this Saturday morning, some questions.